Hey everyone, welcome back to Breakthrough Innovation, where we uncover what it really takes to lead change, create value, and build what's next. I'm JL Heather, and normally Preston is here with me, but wasn't able to make it. But together we lead Centered, a firm that helps organizations navigate complexity, spark creativity, and unlock the full potential of their teams through innovation coaching and strategy. Today's guest is someone I'm excited to talk to in the vein of KPIs and measuring results. He's made a career out of creating clarity where others see chaos. Lior Gerson is a serial founder, product visionary, and the CEO of TargetBoard, an AI-powered operating system that helps organizations track, manage, and actually act on the KPIs that matter. He's no stranger to scaling big ideas. As founding CTO of Vroom.com, Lior helped drive the company to a 2.6 billion IPO. At Placer.ai, he led the creation of a 25 million ARR product line. And now with TargetBoard, he's on a mission to eliminate waste, ditch dashboards, and redefine how modern businesses use data to make decisions. Lior, I'm really excited about this. I feel like so many businesses really struggle with KPIs and turning them into results. So I'm ready to dive in. I hope you are as well.
Absolutely am. Pleasure being here.
Perfect. So, maybe to start out, tell us a little bit more about Target Board. What inspired you to build it, and how is it different than maybe some of the traditional BI tools that are out there?
So I came from a very rich background in retail, right? Vroom and MySuperMarket was a visionary price comparison website. We had like 20 million monthly active users in the UK doing supermarket price comparison. And I came from a tradition of data and analytics. And, when you're doing e-commerce and retail, you know everything. You know CAC, who your customers are, where they're coming from, what their conversion rates, their unit economics, everything. And then I went to SaaS and like to B2B SaaS. And I found that like very successful unicorns had no data. They were absolutely flying blind. I came into like a company and had an EBI, and I said, well, what are you basing these metrics on? And I dug in, and they were 90% off.
Yeah, just following the wind.
90% off. Talk about a company that has like $100 million ARR, right? Whereas a CM was reporting that they have, I know, 100,000 visitors on the website per month. It turns out to be 10, right? And you don't know because you don't know you're counting like your QA automation or something, right? Or your bots. And that happens all over, right? So I was speaking to that CEO and I was telling him, listen, like everything here can be 10 times more efficient than it is, right? You're onboarding, you're recruiting, the way you track your sprints, the way you respond to support tickets, everything here has like 90% waste. And I could see that, right? And he told me, Lior, I get it, but I didn't bring me here to fix my company. Now, the previous company, we had like stellar data. We knew everything, right? Selling cars, what you're buying, what you're selling, how you're financing it, how much you're paying for free conditioning, all that. And I said, well, I can fix it. I know how to fix it. I know how to fix it at scale. I've done it like a dozen times. So let's build a product out of it, right? That's sort of how we got started.
I love that. I think so many organizations feel they have this sense of overconfidence where they feel like they know what they're doing, but if you really dig, it's not based on a whole lot. So I'm curious when you're thinking about these KPIs, the things that really should be driving our decisions as business owners, how do you help an organization really understand what the KPIs should be when they probably feel like there's some special snowflake that the normal stuff doesn't work for? Like, how do you help bring them in and like actually get them to a KPI approach that works?
So we took a very untraditional way, right? If you think about like analytics and BI and metrics in general in the organization, you have two types of approaches. One is saying, well, let's do everything vertical, pay a lot of money, build in a vertical analytic system for engineering, for support, for Salesforce and all of that. And you end up paying a lot for, a lot of teams. And usually they don't work out of the box, right? Because you need to get your data right. So if your data get into like this data project, if I have to fix my data, and then I can get the reports that I want. So instead of having like a data team do the work, like your team does work. And the other approach you can do is saying, well, we're going to go horizontally and build like a centralized BI team and data warehouse and do the ETLs and all that. And that takes a lot of time because you're essentially building, you're taking like different tools, but you're building your own thing. You're reinventing the wheel. It doesn't matter if you're tracking the exact same thing that every other company is doing, right? And what we did, we said, well, we're going to build a system that you don't need a data team. You don't need analysts. It's going to do all that for you. and you're going to get everything out of the box. You don't have to compromise on your data. You don't have to change anything with your data, with your process. We will automatically learn and understand how you work, what you need, what you care about, and build those reports, which are, they're custom for you, right? They're custom for your business. But at the end of the day, it's the same reports, right? How much am I selling? How much am I delivering? How much is planned versus actual, in any department? Where are things stuck? Why they're stuck? How do you unstuck them? How do you move faster? How do you reduce waste? And if you take that, to a virtual level, all the departments are the same, right? Everybody has tasks, everybody has projects, nuances to how these are operated, what is needed. But essentially, everybody just wants to move, like push their tasks forward faster, right? So, like, what are the tools? What are the capabilities you need to make that change, make that leap? Say, okay, so I'm going from a mindset of I have this data which I can't use, right? And because I can't use it and can't trust it, like I'm not even going to try.
Yeah.
To, hey, I trust this, and now I can actually do something about it. And by the way, doing something about it is not, oh, I have to go back to engineering and ask for some stuff, some more tools so that this becomes useful for me. But how do I click a button and it becomes useful?
And I can totally get for organizations where the KPIs aren't solid, where they aren't really doing their job, this could be really, really powerful. I'm curious though, like, is there a certain point where if organizations are all tracking the same KPIs and working towards the same goals, like, do we have this point of convergence where the KPIs don't really become a competitive edge anymore? And like, how do you help organizations find that niche, that KPI that helps them get the edge over their competition?
I don't think it's about the organization. I think it's about the people. So if you're a CTO, right? If you're a VP engineering, if you're a CMO or CRO, right? But let's focus for the CTO, right? You have an agenda and you have a plan and you have something that you want to tell the world. You want to tell the CEO, you want to tell your peers about what you're trying to do and what needs to happen for the company to succeed, right? So it could be, changing, it could be changing priorities, it could be, I need more budget. And how do you get the data to tell that story efficiently, very quickly? And how do you understand better what's moving the needle on your business? And how do you understand what you don't know, right? So you're now a new CTO, right? Even a new fractional CTO, you're entering and you need to understand what's going on. And what's going on is a complicated question, right? Who's doing what? How are they doing? Why are they doing it? What needs to happen? What the company priorities are, how did that reflect into like whatever your team is doing? Unpacking that efficiently takes time, right? So why do you have like a 30, 60, 90 process? Because it takes time for you to get into the system, understand like what works and build the confidence to make decisions. So imagine you can come into a company and say, well, I actually, flip on a switch. I know everything. I know the performance of every project, of every person, of every process. I know, like, if now I have the head of customer support complaining that we're not responsive enough for whatever he's escalating, I can show, in a click that's not the case. If I have the product, complaining that we're not focusing on other things and we're not allocating enough resources to whatever he thinks is most important, flip a switch, it's there. I don't have to go and say, oh, my Jira is dirty and I have to fix everything, or I have to build like the reports and let's talk in a few weeks and see what's actually going on. And that was an example for somebody coming into a company, right? But if you think about a bigger company, they change it all the time. Like people move in, responsibilities change. Suddenly you have a new project you're responsible for, and you have like new people you're responsible for, right? So like your whole perception of what's going on there, what's stuck, what isn't stuck, like why was promoted, deprioritized, is all bias. It's all secondary, right? So we take all that away. Like you get full transparency at any level of the organization, and you get it immediately.
Mm. Well, and I love that. And it feels like magic. And I know it's not, right? Like it's a process like anything else. But I wonder, like, how do you actually help organizations flip the switch from just measuring to actually managing outcomes with this data? Like, because I think a lot of organizations will have data, whether or not it's good data, we can question and all that sort of stuff. But I think a lot of organizations have that data, but aren't tying it to decisions. So how do you help leaders make that connection?
So first thing is to remove the cost of getting the data and getting the data to work for you, right? So we have a catalog of metrics, and it's the biggest catalog in the world today. It has hundreds of metrics, and it's crowdsourced. So if a new customer says, "Hey, you know what? I actually care about whatever number of code, the amount of code written by AI," everybody gets it. It keeps growing. And those KPIs are built in a way that makes it very, very easy, almost automatic and a lot of it is automatic, to adjust them to whatever data you have in the organization, right? So you don't have to change anything with how you work, and there's no data projects on your side. And then it's just a matter of matching the assortment of metrics that are available to you to whatever is happening in your organization. Okay, so you see, like, I have more bugs in production. It takes me longer to do code reviews, whatever, right? Right. So you see that the data tells you the issues. So it's just highlighting the issues. Things are changing, saying, okay, so now I see I have an issue like in these 10 metrics. Let me put a spotlight on them. Let me start tracking them. Let me create the alerts, the automations, the signals around them to make sure that they're happening. So it takes the example of, things being stuck in code review. So one click, and the person who's holding up the queue gets a notification when it's over 8 hours.
So I like that tie. Maybe another good question here is how do organizations, what should they be looking for that tells them what they're doing right now isn't working? That maybe they are kind of flying blind, that they might need some additional support with KPIs
I think most of them know.
in their heart of hearts.
They know if they're, how much waste it is in the system. It's going to be, sort of, it's what you talk, in the water cooler. This is not working. I'm waiting for my build for 10 hours to deploy or whatever. I know we have this customer. He's super important, and he has this support ticket, and he's a churn risk, and nobody's answering the phone. People know when things are stuck and when, like, it's inefficient, and they see them sort of idle and waiting and working on items that they don't really understand, like, what the added value is. And it's just taking that next step and saying, well, guys, you know what? This is bothering me. I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to be complaining all day on why I'm stuck, on why I don't see the value between what I'm doing and, like, how it's helping the business. And that's right where sort of cross department friction comes in, right? So the engineering's not happy with the product's not happy with engineering, the product's not happy with the sales. If everything's meshing and streamlined and everybody's happy and driving really fast, everybody's happy. So once that starts, once you start feeling like, hey, there's something here that creates friction, right? That's where you want to start tracking why that is, what could be done better, how you make people happier, right? So developer experience, for example, is all about why are people not happy? What could make them happy? But that's very localized, because, like, it's a bigger problem. Like, if you're asking a developer why you're not happy, they'll give you an answer, but it's not the organization's answer. It's not
Right.
the level that you want to see of, actually, this is happening, and the developer only sees, like, this small piece of it,
Right.
right? And I think getting all the metrics, being able to see, like, a full picture, full customer 360, project 360, employee 360, teams 360, because we connect all the systems, so like Jira and GitHub. We will bring in Salesforce, ServiceNow, anything. It gives you that picture, so you can have that conversation.
No, I mean, that sounds really powerful. I think it almost feels overwhelming in a way, especially given what I see at so many organizations. So, like, how do you help them? I guess you have so many KPIs, you have this holistic view. Like, how do you help them narrow it down to what they actually need to pay attention to?
So it's part of the onboarding process. So when we onboard a new customer, there's a survey they go through that helps us sort of understand where they want to focus first and where they see the pains. Because you're right, you can take it anywhere. So we really try and narrow to, like, what the problem is you're trying to solve. Like, why are we speaking? From there, it sort of expands.
And you just take them through this onboarding process that really helps them understand what they should be looking at and how that's going to help them.
Yeah, and remember, like, every customer has a trial period. So you have to have a success criteria, and it has to be sort of very narrowly defined, because, like you're saying, you can take it anywhere. So when we're onboarding a customer, and by the way, it's a very white glove service, like, because we know, like, our customers are very busy, so we're there for them. We ask them, like, what do you want to focus on first? Like, what bothers you? What bothers you about how your team operates today? What do you feel you're not successful in getting across to the CEO, to your upper management? What's your story, and where do you need help with it? And then it makes it really easy, because, okay, it's like, this is how we tell the story.
No, I love that. Tying the KPIs to a story, I think, makes a lot of sense. And I think that's something too many people avoid because they feel like the numbers are separate somehow. So Lior, we got to start wrapping up. I'm curious, what's next for TargetBoard? Where do you feel like the KPI tracking and the business performance tools, where do you think that's all headed?
So I don't know where it's all headed. I think that today it's a very big, very broken industry, and I think we're doing something that's novel and a lot of people relate to. I know where we're going is if we build a very, very robust data platform. I think it's the number one data platform of its type in the world today. And it's much more powerful than anything else that's out there. We're able to create very accurate, very trustworthy, very comprehensive data very quickly. And on top of that, you can build robust reports and get insights, analytics. And where we're taking it now is to the agentic AI side of saying we're going to create a KPI workforce that is able to create complicated signals from your metrics. So take, for example, cycle time, right? Today, we can very easily give you an alert if your cycle time is up or down and how that, changes between different teams, different projects, and different peoples on the team and different components. But if you want to go a step higher and say, well, I actually want to signal if I have a velocity issue in any of these areas, then it's not just cycle time because there's other things that come into effect, right? Sick days, work days, unplanned stuff, priority shifts, changes in the team structure, right? So all will have an effect with which you might see it in the cycle time, but it's not necessarily that signal. So what we're doing now with agents is saying, well, you have an agent that understands velocity. It understands all the metrics that are impacted in velocity and how they relate to one another. And then it's able to give you like a very stronger, very advanced signal about velocity, quality, capacity, about planning. I think that's where we're going.
No, I think that's really powerful. I think that helps bridge that gap from just giving me the numbers to interpreting the impact they're having. So I love that. I think that's really powerful. Lior, if people are interested in TargetBoard, if they want to connect with you, talk about KPIs, what's the best way for them to get into contact?
So I'm on LinkedIn. Happy to talk to anybody who wants to talk about KPIs or data or analytics or in general, and feel free to reach out.
Awesome. And I know this is such a big topic, and I've loved every minute of this. It's been a great conversation. I really appreciate your time and your involvement here, Lior. For everyone else who's made it all the way to the end with us, I want to say thank you to you as well. And while you're down there leaving that 5-star review for us, we'd love to get a couple comments from you. What are the KPIs you track? How well are they working for you? We'd love to hear from you. Maybe we can get a couple new KPIs added to TargetBoard in the process. And if you know anyone that is struggling to have an impact with KPIs, maybe pass this episode on to them and share the knowledge that Lior has been sharing with us. And again, Lior, thank you so much. Great conversation.
My pleasure. Thank you.